You're now live on Talking Point, live here on Nigeria's #1 family radio station, Inspiration 105.9 FM. This Monday today, the third day in the month of December 2018. Our guest on the program today, sitting right across from me, we're joined by Akwa Ephraim, Inyang-Eyen, who joins us this morning on the program, Commissioner for Works in Akwa Ibom State. Honorable Commissioner, thank you for coming on the radio and good morning to you.
Thank you, Shokbe, for having me this morning. Good morning, Akwa Ibom.
We recall the last time you came, you promised to return to the radio and reel out the projects embarked and, of course, completed by the present administration. I guess you're armed with those information.
Yes, Shokbe, I think I'm always armed with the information.
Let's get started this morning, Honorable Commissioner. You can also join us later on the phone lines when we're almost at some point on the program today. On Saturday on Talk News and Current Affairs program, Talk Radio, we had a Managing Director of Oil and Gas Free Zone, Mr. Manel Konomana. He was on the radio this morning, last Saturday rather. He had so much to say about the current administration. Before we continue, here's a soundbite, and we want a quick response to the comments of the MD of Ogfasa. Here we go.
Anything good? Maybe the honor to Governor Obonwata. That's the only thing you can commend this administration for. As a citizen from Akwa Ibom, I feel pained that in 4 years you cannot point to one area of achievement. So, start from the budget. If you look at the budget from 2015, budget figures, 2015 to 2018, I don't even want to add 2019. You find that this government, Akwa Ibom State government, they budgeted a total of 2 trillion naira. So I'm saying that the industrialization program has failed and has failed woefully because we can't find the evidence on ground. And in any case, if we talk about the cottage industry, what is the equity participation of the state government? It adds up to what? The meter factory is a private concern. I know the promoters. What is the equity participation of the state government? So if you are trying to use that to explain the fact that you budgeted 2 trillion in 4 years, if you add the 600 for 2019, 2.6 trillion, if you want to use that to justify, what have you put into those ventures?
Now, that's a soundbite of the MD of Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority, Mr. Manel, when he was here last Saturday. How do you respond to the fact that he said there is no achievement whatsoever that can be credited to Governor Odom Emmanuel except honoring former Governor Victor Atta?
Well, I am really saddened that someone who was a former commissioner during Obonwata and who was secretary to government of Akwa Ibom State for 7 years and was disgracefully thrown out could make such a comment.
When we talk
about budget,
I need to stop.
When we talk about comment, when we talk about project,
I need to stop you here.
When we talk about projects,
I need to stop you.
When we talk about budget,
you said disgraceful. You cannot.
It is actually disgraceful.
That's why I need to stop you.
Okay, now let me tell you why it is disgraceful.
Okay, tell us.
All right. Now, when you do a budget, it does not equate to income. This is Odom Emmanuel, who has budgeted about 2 trillion in 3 years. What has been the income? What has come in to execute that budget? Budget is terms of proposal of what you intend to do. Except the income comes in, then you cannot execute all of them. But I want to say that here is Obong Umano Konomana, who was part of a government that received 3.6 trillion in 8 years and have nothing to show for it. Let me prove that Governor Odom Emmanuel has done a lot. The Uyo Ikorekpene road that they started from award, and unfortunately, Obong Umano Konomana was the chairman of FGPC at the award of the contracts and to rail out. The contract was awarded for a total sum of 27 billion. It was reviewed to 56, eventually reviewed to 71 billion. Uyu Ikorekpene Road. And I am sitting here today to say that at the end of that administration, that only about 40% of that road was accomplished. The bulk of that money had been taken out. Obong Okonomana comes from somewhere in Serubio. And there was supposed to be a dualized road between Etinan and Eket, 20 kilometers. I sit here today to tell you that even the Bill 1 of that particular road that was meant for relocation, compensation payment, was taken out in totality, and none of it was done. It's Governor Udom Emmanuel who has come under this administration to make conscious effort to get that road constructed to the village of Umano-Konumana. And if somebody would say that Udom Emmanuel has not done anything, I want to make it very clear that except the Uyo Ibesikpo Sultan dualized road, the Abak Ikorekpene dualized road, show me one other dualized road that was done in this state in 8 years of God's will Akpabio that Omana Okonomana was a chairman of FGPC. There was none.
Are you saying aside those two roads?
Aside those two roads.
No other two roads were completed?
No other one was completed.
In 8 years?
In 8 years of 3.6 trillion income, not budget. Income. He avoided to mention to Akwa Ibom people what was the income of the budget of 2 trillion. You can make a budget. It's a statement of proposal, a statement of what you would like to do. You can only get them done if you have the resources. And I'm very sad too that a distinguished Akwa Ibomite of his status, he's been around, he's an economist, could say that what Governor Udom Emmanuel is building are cottage industries. But let's recap. In 8 years that he was a major player, they promised Akwa Ibomites 31 industries. Even if they were cottage industries, 31. At least, even if it was not owned by government, if the enabling environment had been provided, Akwa Ibomites would have at least been employed. Now, Udom Emmanuel has come in the midst of 2 years of recession and has created the enabling environment and has created about 8 industries, and Akwa Ibomites are employed. And someone who failed woefully with 3.6 trillion income is coming to tell a man who has had less than 1 trillion income that he has not done well in 3 years as compared to 8 years of excess flow.
He's asking a critical question, Honorable Commissioner. What is the equity participation of this government in those projects?
Government is not supposed to own industries. Government was supposed to provide enabling environment for business to thrive. If you go to Lagos State today, Lagos State government does not own the industries that are running in Lagos, that are giving it the IGR, that makes it the center of commerce. What Lagos State has done is provide the enabling environment. The ones Dr. Clement did that government had equity holding, bulk of them were run down because of mismanagement. So this government is determined to provide the enabling environment, secure the funds of these people that are coming, and let them understand that they can do business here. It will now attract others, provide employment for our people, give us internally generated revenue, and that's what government should be about, not equity participation.
But then again, it said there's some level of participation in terms of equity, but Akwa Ibomites are not furnished with that information.
You can ask for information when you need them. It is not the business of government that everything that you carry out. Okay, let me tell you a question. Let me say this to you.
All right.
Just yesterday, someone called me and said the former governor, His Excellency Obon Godswill Obodo-Pabio, who commissioned the 6.41 kilometer road linking airport with Nseretai with Ibesikpo Sultan, said the entire of that road has potholes, that the road in less than 1 year has collapsed. I quickly dispatched myself at about 11 p.m. last night to go, and I drove through the road and there were no potholes. Now I expect that if there were potholes on that road, it is now the place of Akwa Ibom people to ask government what happened. Information is only available on demand. I sit in the office as Commissioner of Works, and people write to me, oh, they want to know the total component of what was used to do Odoro Road through Jonathan Boulevard. And I give those information. So it's not the public place of government to go on the street and announce that, oh, this is their equity participation. But I'm telling you that the responsibility of government is to provide enabling environment for business to thrive, which is unlike what happened in 8 years of 2007 to 2015, where even indigenes of this state couldn't come to the state, talk less of businessmen. That was why the 31 industries, even if they were cottage industries, not one sprang up. And some people go far to say, oh, they are in Una. Una is part of Akwa Ibom. If we had 31 industries in Nserobium or in Esenudem, Akwa Ibomites would have been employed and we would have been satisfied. Let those who fail woefully not come up to deceive our people again. Right. Udom Emmanuel has brought peace to this state. There's sanity. You can sleep with your two eyes closed. The same men, the same three men, Governor Akpabio, the Deputy Governor Obong Simaikere, and the Secretary to Government, were the ones that made this state ungovernable, and nobody could come to this state. They cannot take us back.
You're calling those names out.
I'm calling them in specific.
We get to that point later. Now, let's talk about criticism now, which is what this particular statement falls under. How fully disposed is your government towards criticism when they say Udom Emmanuel has received so much money and there's little to show for it? How do you show them that we've received so little today, we've done so much?
We've done so much, my brother. I tell you, Shokpe, I have come here several times to rail out roads.
Okay.
And I expected people to say those roads are imaginary. A few days ago, someone took up upon himself, a non-indigen, he has a mixture of a name between Yoruba and Igbo, I think he's a sponsored person, and said that the 15-kilometer road done by Peculiar Construction, one of our flagship projects in terms of a foreign company funding the job, in the local government that goes to Arochukwu, that it was an imaginary road, that it didn't exist. And the person went as funny as saying that, oh, the picture and the angle of taking the picture were different. But I would tell you today that I ask any human being, if he goes to in the local government and drives to Arochukwu, not will he only see the road. The last time I came, I told you that we have opened up to Arochukwu.
Yeah.
The bridge today, as we speak, in the last 2 weeks, they are crossing the beams. That means the bridge will be ready on or before ending of January. Now, you can't hide a bridge in your pocket. So what is required here is that Governor Udom Emmanuel has taken development in this state to where there was none. If you give me the time, I will rail them off to you. We went to Oborukara when we had an SOS. The children in Oborukara, around where the former deputy governor, Obon Chris Ekpenyong, comes from, the children did not go to school for several years because the only bridge that links them to Oborukara had cut off. And this governor has completed that road. So today, at Oborukara, you can drive safely to Abia State.
Let's address another issue raised by some of the critics of this administration, also raised by our guest here, Obong Umana Okonomana, when he came on Talk Radio last Saturday, when he spoke about cottage industries, small industries right now. When people refer to those industries as cottage industries, what's the reaction of this government?
Well, I don't know when you can call coconut refinery cottage industry. Is that they have chosen not to tell the truth to Akwa Ibom people. I don't know how you can call a strange factory that produces stranges in millions per day be called a cottage industry. I don't know how you can call flour mill a cottage industry. I don't know how you can call a metering factory a cottage industry. I'm saying that if by their understanding, the limits of their understanding showcases these projects as cottage industry, wouldn't Akwa Ibom have been better if in their 8 years of our surplus they had provided us similar cottage industries, the 31 they promised? Don't you think that with the additional cottage industries of Governor Udom Emmanuel, Akwa Ibom would have been better for it? Today, we should have been boasting of about 40 and 40 plus cottage industries. If the 31 they promised that were supposed to be gigantic industries, even if they were cottage industries, I think we would have been far much better than what we have today. But the question then is, if in the 8 years of our surplus, remember when Ngozi Iweala, the then Minister of Finance, said nothing was happening in Akwa Ibom. Her position was based on what we were receiving, not what was seen to have been done. People were excited because there was a big gap between the funds available to Obon Victor Ta, and then he fought for the resource control, and a lot of resources came in, and the Minister of Finance said nothing was done in Akwa Ibom. And I join her today to say, based on available record and resources available to us, nothing was done in Akwa Ibom. So let me show you the project that were done. Our cottage industry is not better than they are functional and producing and employing people like the gigantic projects like Tropicana.
Let's talk about the employment of those industries.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people will say, how many persons can work in a syringe factory? 15, 20. Then that's why they refer to them as cottage industries.
That is not true. If anybody have any doubt, let them go to this syringe factory. They employed over 100 and something people. But that's not the point. The point is, if we had 31 cottage industry at the end of 2015, and Governor Udo Emmanuel now brings maybe another 15 cottage industries, okay, we would have had 46. Am I right?
Okay.
And they each employ 50 people. At least some of our youth would have been taken out of the labor market. The argument is the same set of men who sat for 8 years of our surplus. 8 years of our surplus and did nothing are not justified to criticize the one in the midst of our lean resources has created an enabling environment of peace and certainty, that the process of building industries, which they obviously know, it's a shame on them to call cottage industries.
Another issue we should address here is the location of those industries. You are from Ona local government area.
Yes.
The governor is from Ona local government area as well.
Yes.
Is there an Ona conspiracy in this government?
Now, if you remember your Economics 101, there are basic elements for siting of industries. And I want to tell you today that since these are private concerns, they will look for the basic requirement to site industries. And earlier, I did mention here, I said even if the 31 industries that the last administration that Okon was a major player had cited the 31 industries they promised in a Senodum, in Okana Sentwen. Where the former governor comes from, his village, Okane-Kontwen. If they had cited the 31 industries there, today, I'm saying to you, Akwa Ibom people would have been working there. It would have been better that we had those industries in his village than having none of it. Are you saying that because they couldn't cite the industries in his village or in Obong Umana's village in somewhere in Nserobium was the reason the 31 advertised promised industries were not built? Is it the location that matters? Or are you going to project that because they are built in Nona, therefore the IGR produced will not come to Akwa Ibom State? Or that because they are located in Nona, therefore the people employed there are basically Nona sons and daughters? I'm saying, let every leader make their environment conducive to attract these industries. In road construction, I want to tell you some very basic things I've witnessed.
Okay.
There are locations you get to do roads and you have peace. The community cooperate with you. They assist you to get the job done. But there are certain locations you go to, and if not that you are at service of the public, you would not even want the road done. You will not, because the community do not want anything about development.
Right. Before we get to that, you spoke also on the 8 years of former Governor Godswill Akpabio, and you mentioned that in those 8 years, only 2 major roads were constructed, if I got you correctly.
Yes.
Are you therefore calling that government a waste?
It was a waste. I didn't say so. Obon Otta, in his book that was launched 2 weeks ago, he said it was 8 years of wastages. You can read it. It's everywhere. I join my voice with his to say I believe and I agree, so it was. Because ExxonMobil makes claim to have given Akwa Ibom State 8 billion to support the state government construct Ekeribonon Road. None of that took place. This government started and ended Ekeribonon Road. Nothing was done. So we don't know where the 8 billion went to. 18 and Eket Road was awarded by that government. Lots of resources left the purses of government. Nothing was done. You can go find out from CCECC. Now, almost all the gigantic things that were supposedly started, 4 Point Sheraton was an ordinary carcass when Governor Udo Emmanuel came on board. I mean carcass. When you raise block walk, you can't call that a house, top place of a hotel. It's under this administration that carcass had been turned into a hotel. It's just like what stood here some years ago. This place that was standing here was not considered habitable by humans. Today, it's Akwa Ibom State Secretariat Annex, where my office is. The difference is someone came, saw that structure, and decided to turn that dirty carcass to what is standing here today. I'm saying that all the projects started by that administration was a failure.
Honorable Commissioner,
because none of them were completed, and like Tropicana,
Honorable Commissioner,
even when people were brought in to assess to buy, the cost of purchase as it is currently is in several billions below what was purported to have.
Honorable Commissioner, reports has it that infrastructure renaissance that the state's witnessed was under the last administration. I'll give an example of one. The stadium here that has been a heaven of activities was completed by that administration. You think it's charitable to say they didn't do anything?
Now, if you take the stadium as the only thing they did,
I'm not saying that's the only thing.
Tell me the other thing they did.
I just mentioned that.
Because I will tell you what we have done. Because if you mention what infrastructure, please don't forget that we had surplus. If you go back to your Bible, when David was brought in by Pharaoh to give an interpretation to a dream, he said you will have 7 years of surplus and there will be 7 years of lack. If you don't invest in your 7 years of plenty, in the days of lack you will suffer. I want to sit here and say categorically that the volume of resources that came into Akwa Ibom between 2008 precisely and early part of 2015, when the oil prices began to crash, could have built that stadium in every federal constituency. If stadium was going to be the yardstick of measurement of the success of that administration. But I also want to tell you, just like the Ibom Specialist Hospital, the stadium was and is not completed. The indoor game facilities of that stadium has not been done. The stadium cannot host an international event except football. All the indoor things, the gymnastics and the race have not been completed. It's like when people were shouting about the Ibom Specialists, it was a carcass of a structure, except the ground floor and the first floor. The other two floors are not even plastered, not even talking about fixing equipment. So when you are talking about this infrastructure, and if I must add, the international stadium is a drain part. It does not really bring value to add to our IGR. It does not add anything more than the status symbols. Oh, that we have an international stadium. What else does he add? Does it employ people? Of what else does he add more than, oh, they are playing football in Akwa Ibom? The cost of maintaining that stadium year in, year out, does the stadium pay for itself? The things that we are supposed to be talking about are things that have been well thought out, that will add value to the system and sustain itself. If government stops funding the stadium will go into disrepair. So if you are using that to justify the trillions that were collected in this state, I think that is not fair enough.
All right, we go to the phone lines in just a moment. Our guest today's Commissioner for Works in Akwa Ibom State, Akwa Ephraim Inyang-Eyen. He joins us this morning on Talking Point. Akwa Ephraim Inyang-Eyen, let's let you weigh in on the matter of the drama that played out in the Akwa Ibom State's House of Assembly complex. In fact, we have on information that you were there on last week Thursday, when the governor also was there as well. Now let's get your views as to what really played out in the Assembly complex.
It's unfortunate that even when truth is open, people try to deny it. I heard that some people had broken into the clerk of the house, who happened to be my classmate when we were A-level, School of Basic Studies, Akampa, called me and said she has just managed to escape some hoodlums at the State House of Assembly. I was in the car. I just drove straight into that premises to find out what happened. And when I got there, I saw 5 of our former house members who were taken out by court order. They were standing outside. They were talking to the chief security officer, to the governor. The moment they saw me, they came to me and they began to shout. And I asked, what is going on here? It's my responsibility. If I hear that something is wrong somewhere, I should go there to find out what happened. And I tell you the truth, they were not seated, they were not sitting, they were not in the building, they were outside. And you could see clearly that they didn't enter from the gate. Even with the police escort they had, they enter from a broken wall. So the question now is that if people have the audacity to twist these obvious facts, I don't know else what we are looking for. But let me add this.
Okay.
In that interview, maybe you forgot, something dramatic took place when my brother, Obong Okonomana, a former secretary to government, former commissioner in Akwa Ibom, said that in its 7 years as secretary to government, he was under spell. Well, I want to say categorically that I would forgive him because a man under smell is under demonic possession, and so he could make mistakes. So, no. He said it. Please review your interview.
No problem.
Because we have to explain this because it will now form the basis of why people couldn't achieve what they ought to have achieved. He gave an explanation. It was under spell, and so we will allow him, and we hope that he has come out of the spell, and that in truth, if he has come out of the spell, he should be able to look at objective things and speak about them objectively rather than allowing the spell of the last 8 years which he had lost to still continue with him, because you can only deny the obvious if you are under spell. And spell is a demonic possession.
Honorable Commissioner,
yes.
Let's get back to the question. There are reports here that the governor has no right to have gone to the assembly that very day. How do you respond to that?
Is the governor not the chief security officer of the state? Is Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly not part of the state? So the governor should have sat back in his office while the House of Assembly burns. And what did the governor do? The governor heard that there was a crisis in the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. He put a call straight immediately to the Commissioner of Police. Accompany me, let us go to the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly and see what is going on there. The Commissioner of Police was there. The governor was there. The Director of SSS was there. So it is only the governor, who is the chief security, that shouldn't have gone there to see what was going on.
I know you're not a lawyer, but I understand. Argument is that it negates the principles of separation of power when you go there on a day you are not invited.
So let me tell you, when law and order breaks down, the governor, as a chief security officer of the state, needs to do the needful. The governor did not go there to create violence. The governor did not go there with arms. The governor went there to see what was happening, and the commissioner of police, who is supposed to work with the governor to maintain law and order, and the director of XSS were all in tow. So that argument does not hold water. And sir, if I must say this, I think that people deny the obvious.
Okay.
If the governor had stayed away from the House of Assembly and there was a total breakdown of law and order, which was what it was heading to, the same people would have turned around to blame the governor that, oh, why didn't he take preemptive action? Because I will tell you the truth. It was the appearance of the governor in the House of Assembly that day that saved the situation. Because the moment those SAC members saw the governor coming, they left, and sanity was restored instantly in our presence. So the presence of the governor was actually what was required at that moment to quell the crisis that was already building up. Because, Chokpe, it's not possible for 5 SAC members to say that they have taken over the House of Assembly of 26 people, and then the 21 members will be clapping hands for them. It is not obtainable anywhere. But I think it's in this part of the world that people just deny the obvious and want things that are wrong to be done. I mean, there's no equation that will equate 5 and 21. If you are looking at 2/3, it doesn't come in there. And don't forget, it was a court that Honorable Inyang-Eyen went to stop the House of Assembly from declaring its seat vacant. It wasn't the House of Assembly, not Akwa Ibom State government, that went to court. It was Honorable Inyang-Eyen representing it to state constituency that went to court. He lost the case in court, and his seat was declared vacant. A status has been established, and so it was applied to the others, and they went to the Court of Appeal. So what was expected was you wait for the judgment of the Court of Appeal. If it is reversed, the House of Assembly that acted on the judgment of the lower court would have been under obligation to reverse their position. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly did not wake up one morning to declare the seats of these members vacant. It was a judgment given by a court of jurisdiction that gave that order, and they obeyed. And so if they were law-abiding citizens of this country, They've gone to Court of Appeal in Calabar. So they would have waited for that judgment. And so if what was decided by the lower court was upturned by the upper court, then the House of Assembly would have also honored that new judgment. But taking the laws into your hand, hiring hoodlums, and getting support from the police to go invade the house, broke through the wall. Leadership of the House of Assembly are not supposed to enter the House of Assembly by breaking the doors and the glasses. And you are sitting in the House of Assembly, you are bringing an impostor as a clerk of the House of Assembly, as a sergeant at arms. The clerk is not there. How do you convene the House of Assembly? And you brought an imaginary mace from somewhere when the original mace of the House of Assembly was locked up in the custody of the clerk. These are issues that our people have pretended over. But let me tell you.
All right.
In this matter, in this state, truth will ultimately prevail.
All right. Honorable Commissioner, let's get you to weigh in on the elections in 2019. Then we go to the phone lines. Now, the day to reel out the project will not be today, Honorable Commissioner. That'll be another day. Looking forward to having you there.
I will return here to reel out the project because it's erroneous for people to say that we have not done much on roads. When I come here, I will for the first time come with a list, even internal roads in Uyo that has made this place habitable. They may look simple, but they add value. And I would want journalists who want to do their job well to enter Uyo Metropolis and ask the residents of Uyo the impact of the direct intervention that this governor has done in Uyo Metropolis.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, let's get talking this morning. Now, there is a political heavyweights in Akwa Ibom State are now in a particular party, the APC. We have former Governor Akwa Ibom. We have, of course, former SSG Okonumana, Senator John Udoyedege, all in the APC as well. We have, of course, Obong Donetebe. Those are a convergence of political heavyweights going to elections in March. Do you think those heavyweights, some of them I have mentioned on the radio, they might dislodge you from the elections in 2019?
So let me ask you this simple question. How did you come by the criteria of calling them heavyweight? What makes a politician heavyweight? I don't want to sound rude, but I want to tell you the truth. The power of who rules over a people or who leads a people is in the hand of the masses. The election of 2019, by the grace of God, will be determined by Akwa Ibom people, not by the so-called heavyweight you have mentioned, sir. Every Akwa Ibomite today has come to the consciousness of what they want, and they will surprise a lot of people. If you look back a little into our history, you mentioned Senator Udoyedege, mentioned Senator Gospel Akpabio. How many other senators are this way? What of Senator Netiekun, Senator Ephraim Bob, Senator Ibo-Essien, Senator Basi Albert? There are several other senators. But so let me tell you, I do not want anybody to assume that it will be business as usual. This election will be about the masses of our people determining who they want to lead them. But I'm telling you that right out there, the people know what they want. If we agree that if you know that what you are doing is right, you won't be desperate. The level of desperation exhibited by the other party, the APC, is beyond measure. If you are connected to your people, you do not need crisis. Like the senator said, Warsaw War will be in Akwa Ibom. You don't need war to win the heart of your people. You need relationship. So I want to put it in perspective that those you call the men of Timber and Caliber, you said are in APC, 2019 will tell the true story. Because if I go by perspective of what I know, I think the power is with the people.
Let's get to the phone lines then. 0818-222-9105 or 0902-684-1059. Both numbers will grant you the access you need this morning to join us on Talking Point, where we have the Honorable Commissioner for Works, Akwa from Inyang-Eyen, as our guest on the program this morning here. Remember as well, it's important to turn the volume on your radio down, and thank you very much for doing that this morning. Hello and good morning. Sorry, we lost that call. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Shopper.
Yeah, thank you for calling, sir. Quickly, what's your name, where you calling from, and straight to your question.
Yes, this is Chris calling from you.
Let's hear you, Chris.
I would say that the government of Udomimanda, who is Akwa Ibom by apology, they have to first of all apologize to us for concealing all these things all that long. They are accomplices in this crime. Apparently, and they are the same.
All right, they will respond. Do you have a question quickly?
he said the Fabio did only Akanodo and Abakut. But let me tell him, even if Fabio used all those money, Fabio had helped Akwa Ibom put Akwa Ibom in the map of Nigeria. This water tribe, yes, he laid the foundation for us.
All right.
How did he do that? How did he put Akwa Ibom on the map of Nigeria?
Hello?
How did he do that? How did he put Akwa Ibom on the map of Nigeria? He didn't build the airport. Obongota built the airport. That's why it is named after Obongota.
Let him ask his question, but you want to respond to what he said?
No, well, he said that Akpabio put Akwa Ibom on the map of Nigeria. I don't know. I was trying to find out from him, and I hope he's listening. We would find a good opportunity for him to tell us how he did that. And then if you talk about the airport, that's the baby of Obong Victor Atta. And that's why this government has rightly named the airport after him. Now, if Atta started the project and almost completed it, and all that Babio did was to now bring in the final touches for the airplane to land, that shouldn't have given the credit of the airport to Atta.
There are even reports that the idea of naming the airport after the former governor was a stolen idea by this administration.
What do you mean by idea? Governor Babio was the governor for 8 years. So Umano Mana was secretary. Nsima Ikere was deputy governor. The idea that lasted for 8 years, they couldn't implement it. It makes nonsense of it. The airport had been there, and the three musketeers, they called them today, were in government at the highest level, and they couldn't name the airport, and somebody has come and has named the airport. They say it was their idea. I don't know what idea is that one supposed to be.
All right,
very bad idea.
Let's get to the phone lines then.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for calling, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from today?
Yeah, my name is Chidebere. I'm calling from Uyo.
All right, Chidebere, quickly your question this morning. Let's hear you.
Honorable Commissioner, good morning.
Good morning, Chidebere.
I appreciate your boldness. I appreciate what you are doing. I didn't come to choose a side. My own is to talk about what concerns my environment and me. You see, the last time you came to the program, I reported at its road about Nelson Mandela and its environment. And you promised me that you will come and give attention to it. So please, now that you are in the studio, I'm very grateful that I have been able to connect through. Please, when you leave the studio, I will make a special request of you to drive down to Nelson Mandela and its road and its environs. That area is very bad.
All right, Chidebere, speed up. So you want attention. All right.
Yeah, Chidebere, let me just help you. When you spoke to me last time, I did promise to look at what is going on in that environment, which we did. But you see, Chidebere, is not going to be possible for government to take on all the roads in all the environment at the same time. Resources are limited. Currently, we are handling Itam Market Road within that environment. We are handling Tabernacle Road within that environment. Chidebere, the people around there should have the assurances of Governor Udomi Manuel that we will come to them, but we need to take off some of the other ones that we have loaded. If by December we are able to remove like 25 of the direct labor job for His Excellency to commission, I can assure you that we will come around the Nelson Mandela. I'm aware of that problem. I had come there, but we will not take it on until we finish Tabernacle, finish the market road around Itam and Itam Market and its immediate environment to reduce the load of this direct intervention on government.
Right.
But be rest assured, people around Nelson Mandela, government is coming.
Okay, let's get some more reactions this morning here. Hello and welcome. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is Etubum Okpan calling from Rwanda.
Let's hear you this morning, Etubum Okpan.
Yeah, I want to quickly salute the Honorable Commissioner in the House.
Thank you, sir. Morning.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, I want to say that I appreciate what you have done to the people of Southern Rwanda in terms of constructing a hospital at the Tumba. In fact, it's very beneficial to the people here because they have saved us many lives. But like the Oliver twist, sir,
yes,
I will plead that you come to our aid in terms of constructing the road that is linking Tongbang to Aradia. I know you were there the other time, and you promised us you are going to do something about it.
Yeah, Etubum, I want to appreciate you for commending government, but let me also say this. I think that in the history of Uran, both northern, central, and southern Uran, this governor, Udom Emmanuel, has given Uran the very best. Outside the hospital, we're currently constructing the road from the Anua Beach to Anua, which is by Verini. It's about 17 kilometers or thereabout. We're in same Uran doing Mbiaya road by Trident, 4 kilometers. We are doing Mbiaya Idu in the same Uran, almost 12 kilometers by Zenith Construction, and we are doing Duetong Mbiaya by Saval Bago. I would like to appeal, sir, that let Uran people allow His Excellency the Governor to concentrate, finish these 4 roads that are already ongoing in Uran, and when they are completed and are adding value to the people of Uran, then certainly and surely government will consider other projects. We will not be able to right now take up any other project in Uran because we like to see the 4 already started, completed.
Okay, we'll get 2 more calls and we call it a day on the program this morning. Sorry we lost that call. Hello there and good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling. What's your name and where are you calling from this morning?
My name is Akwa Ibom. I'm calling from Ephraim.
Akan, thanks for calling. Quickly, your question today. Let's hear you.
Honorable Commissioner, I want to tell you that God will bless you for us.
Thank you, Akan.
That's the truth.
Thank
For
you,
letting
Akan.
us know the truth.
Thank you, Akan.
What I want to let Akwa Ibom people know is that Gospel Fabio apologized to the entire AKS nation. I remember the last time ExxonMobil gave us money for intervention, how much was given to the catchment area, and what did they tell us they wanted to use the money for? And today they are blaming this administration. God, we were ready for whatever.
All right, my brother, hold on. No, be ready for any war. There's no war here. Thanks for calling. We must let you go now.
Thank you, Akan. Thank you for your comments.
We must try as much as possible to discourage any embers of violence from whatever angle they are fanning them from. So let's stay on the matter this morning. Get 2 callers or so. We call it a day here. Hello and good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, thank you for calling.
Yeah, good morning. Please, I want to address the Honorable Commissioner, please.
Okay.
Honorable Commissioner is listening, so address him.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I want to first of all commend you for coming up here to express yourself publicly here. But I want to put some records straight. Like the airport you just said, I heard you mention the airport. Albon Victor Atta started the airport quite alright. But if you were in a Ibom then, you would have seen that the work in Albon Victor Atta did was basically the groundworks. And Victor and Gospel Fabio came in to bring in that airport to the completion to the state it is now. So even if you want to throw away the baby, you don't throw away the baby with the water, with the bathing water.
I didn't say he didn't participate. I said the airport was Albon Victor Atta's idea. He did the spade work. It's just like Governor Udom today coming to complete the 4-point Sheraton at the correct manner. No one can say that Godswill Oborok-Babio was not the initiator of the 4-point at Sheraton. What I am putting to you is that the idea, the originator of the Victor Atta International Airport was Albon Victor Atta. And that's straight and simple. Whether Godswill finished it, no doubt about that. But who originated it, who started it, tomorrow, if by the time Udom Emmanuel finishes the 4-point by Sheraton, it will always be mentioned that it was Godswill Akpabio that started it. The international stadium, by the time we have resources and Udom Emmanuel finishes the indoor games and make that facility to begin to generate resources, it was Godswill Akpabio that started it. There's no argument about that. Let's give credit to whom it is due. Albon Victor Atta started the airport in Akwa Ibom. Right. And that is a settled matter.
Here's the last caller on the program for today. Oh, sorry, we lost that call there.
Now something must beget something. I had no reason to have come up with the details of Uyu Ikorekpene Road, for an example, except when Godswill Akpabio, the former governor, said that he had finished the road. That warranted the details of what was finished and how it was finished. to be brought up. You don't just wake up and there are no issues. I am here today because someone said no road has been, no infrastructure has been done, and no more money. You cannot expect me to say that somebody said we budgeted 2 trillion and probably we had 500 billion and we should have done what they budgeted 4 trillion and had 3.6 trillion as income. Should have done. So I think the whole issue here is that people are taking it out of context. Government is a continuum. Until the facts fall and become necessary, you don't have any reason to rule them out.
All right, as we get ready for the elections in 2019, Honorable Commissioner, what is this government doing in peace and in preaching the message of peace to the electorate?
Well, you know that Governor Udomi Mandela is a man of peace. You can even see that by all our activities and antecedents, is a man of peace. And that is what has sustained and has attracted the investors to the state. So even if you look at his campaign materials, it says only God, and God is about peace. So for Governor Udomi Mandela and for the PDP in Akwa Ibom, we want the peace we're enjoying currently to be sustained so that this state can actually make progress. Because in the absence of peace, you can't make progress. And I want to state emphatically, it was this lack of peace of the last 8 years, 2007 to 2015, that kept the investors away.
Honorable Commissioner, thank you for your time on the radio this morning. You promised to be back here, and when you come back, you also will read out the details of the 1,700 kilometers of roads completed or constructed by this government.
I'll surely be back with those details.
Thank you for coming on the radio this morning.
Thank you, Shokbe, for having me.
Right, that's all on the program for today. Talking Points and Breakfast Jam by extension as well. Many thanks for listening to the radio. Enjoy to much more and stay out of trouble. My name is Shokbe. Have yourself a wonderful day. God bless you all.
Yeah, you wear your coat and your tie too. You say you want to